Hi, I'm Babar and this is my guide to the ABRSM Grade 6 double bass scales. As with the other videos I'll put up, I'll leave the timings for the majors, minors, arpeggios, dominants, diminished, chromatics, running thirds and thumb position scales in the description below, so feel free to just skip to the part that's relevant for you. I'll leave some practice tips at the end as well on how to approach playing scales in a slightly more interesting way, maybe being a bit more creative with scales as well. As with all the scales videos, these are just my fingerings, so the fingerings that I like to use. The good thing about playing a string instrument is that fingerings for scales are by no means definitive, and I really encourage my students to explore different ways of fingering them to work out if there's kind of ways that are more suitable to them, but these are just my guidelines. With grade 6 it's quite nice because we're going to work in 4 key centres, F, G, A and E. E, F, G and A makes more sense. And so there's going to be quite a lot of crossover of fingerings, and the kind of approach that I take is a kind of almost like systematic approach of learning one fingering that can kind of suit all styles. So major scales to start, we're going to start with E major. E major's got 4 sharps in the key signature, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp and D sharp. For this we can start in first position, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp in first. Then I go to third position, D sharp to E, 2-4 in third position on the A string. Then from here there's a really useful fingering that we're going to use for every major scale. If you start with your fourth finger, go back a semitone to second and a half, 1, and then back to third, 2-4. So there's 4 back, 1, 2, 4, forward. Back again, 1, 4 to second half, and forward to fourth. So 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4 is a fingering you can use for every major scale. And my teacher used to call it a spring back fingering, but it's a fourth finger major scale fingering. So E major sounds like this. I think the ABRSM scales are slurred in sets of 4. I play even notes, so 4 notes to a bow, which is actually quite tricky, so you've just got to think of the 4 in your head. I think that's right. So that's E major. Moving up to A major, we can use exactly the same fingering to start. A, B, C sharp, D, F sharp, G sharp to A in third position, 0, 1, 4, 0, 1, 4, 2, 4. And then from there, we can use that same fourth finger major scale fingering. 4, back semitone, 1, 2, 4. So third to second half to third again. 1, 4, E to F sharp in fifth and a half position. And then 2, 3, G sharp to A in seventh position. If you put your thumb on the F sharp that you've just played in a chromatic hand shape, it's quite a nice way of getting that in tune. A major. And with all of the scales, it's nice to increase the speed of bow and move towards the bridge as you get up the scale, especially if you're playing top A's. It's quite nice to use a fast bow near the bridge to get a nice peak to the sound and a good clean sound at the top. So for G major, normal fingering for G major at the beginning, 2, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, 4. That's the F sharp. I say normal fingering. I always play my F sharp to G in second position. So G, A, B, C, D, E in first position, and then 2, 4, F sharp to G in second. Then if we're on a fourth finger, we can use that same fourth finger fingering. 4, back to first, 1, 2, 4 in second, 1, 4, D to E in fourth, and then 2, 3, F sharp to G in sixth position, or passing position. So it sounds like this. So that's G major slurred. And then the last scale of the major scales is F major. F major, we're going to do a different fingering. You could, if you wanted to, play 1, 4, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4 up the neck. And then use that spring back fingering if you want to. I'd probably encourage some of my pupils to do that just because you're using interesting positions. If you've just done grade 5 and used my grade 5 fingering, then 1, 4, 2, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4 will be wholeheartedly ingrained in you. But the other thing that you can do is just stay in half position. F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F, 1, 4, 0, 1, 4, 0, 2, 4, open G to A, 0, 2, and then second B flat to C, 0, 2, 4, A, G, A, B flat in half, C to D in third, and then E to F, 2, 4 in fifth. So it sounds like this. And that's all of the major scales. So going on to minors, we're going to use the same thing. I'm going to establish like one finger pattern that works for all minor scales. And then the shifts and the positions are going to be the same. We're just going to change fingers depending on whether it's harmonic or melodic minor, going up or going down. So E melodic minor, I'm going to start with the top octave first, or the middle octave. The fingering that I use for all harmonic minor scales is 1, 4, and then, so in E, 1, 4 and E to F sharp, 1, 4, G natural to A. That's a semitone past where you were, so first to third, back, B to C, 1, 2, and then up for the raised seventh, D sharp to E, 2, 4 in fourth position. So 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 2, 2, 4 is every melodic minor scale top octave fingering. And then we just need to work out how to get onto a first finger for that. So yeah, as we've been saying, E minor harmonic, it's just got an F sharp in the key signature, but it has the raised seventh of a D sharp. So you can play the whole thing in half position. 0, 2, 4, 0, 2, 4, 1, 1. Then first to third, back to second and a half, up to fourth. So that's E minor harmonic. So for melodic, we can use the same positions, the same shifts. We just need to raise the sixth as well as to raise the seventh on the way up. And then on the way down the scale, we need to flatten the seventh and flatten the sixth. So the fingering for all harmonic minor scales that I use is 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4. Then coming back, 1, 2, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1. So the harmonic, melodic minor fingering up of octaves. So for the bottom of the scale, we need a C sharp and a D sharp. So we might as well start in first position, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 4 for the C sharp, back to a D sharp with the first finger, and then up to the E. Now on the way back down, we can just stay in first position because we're using a C natural. Open D, C natural, B, open A, G, F sharp, E. So that's E harmonic minor and melodic minor. And then we can use the same fingerings essentially for all of the other scales, especially the top octave. So A harmonic minor, nothing in the key signature, just a raised seventh. So half position, 0, 2, 4, 0, 2, 4, 1 for the G sharp, and then up so that we play the A on a first finger. Now once we're in our first finger, we can just use that same position again, same finger again. So top octave, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 2, then 2, 3. Back on a 1. So the whole thing looks like this. And then for melodic minor, again, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 2, 3. This time, same fingering, then back 1, 2, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1. Similar to the E minor scale, we need an F sharp, a raised sixth, and a G sharp. So we're going to start in first, move back to half, and then back to first. Then just establish our normal fingering. Once we're back into first position, because we're flattening the seventh and sixth, we can just play open strings and all the way down. 0, 2, 1, 0, 2, 1, 0. So that's A minor, melodic and harmonic as well. For G minor harmonic, there's some quite nice fingering here. Again, our aim is to try and get the top octave starting on the first finger. So G minor has obviously got B flat and E flat in the key signature, plus our raised 7th of G sharp. So half position, 4-0-1-4. Then if you go to second and a half positions, play the D to E flat, F sharp, 1 across, then up to third, then you finish on your first finger. Then you can just use the normal fingering, 1-4 in third, 1-4 in fifth, back, 1-2, then 2-3. So for G melodic minor, we can use the same fingerings, or same finger patterns as we've been doing before, 1-4, 1-4 in fifth, 1-4, D to E, and then 2-3 at the top, coming down 1-2-1, 4-1, 4-1. That's absolutely fine. We need an E natural and an F sharp for our raised 6th and raised 7th. So we're going to start in half position, 4-0-1-4. Then move to first, open D, E, F sharp. Then up to our G. Because we're flattening the L, F natural and an E flat, we can go all the way back to half, 4-1-0, 4-1-0, 4. And that's G. And then the last one is F. I should say with all of these, I think being able to hear the scales is really important. So the harmonic minor scale, you've got that nice big minor third. So it's quite easy to recognise at the top of the scale. The melodics are a bit harder because you've got the minor third, but then you've also got a major 6th and a major 7th. So the beginning of the scale sounds minor, and then the top of the scale sounds major on the way up. And it's kind of tuning your ears into playing a minor third, but then also playing a major 6th. Can be a bit hard to get used to, and I quite often have pupils like crunching their fingers to try and make it sound like a flat 6th, but it is a major 6th. You've just got to trust yourself in that. So for F minor, starting in half position, similar fingering to grade 5 if you use my grade 5 scales, 1, half, 2, 4 in first, 1 and half, 2, 4 in first, and then 1 across. So F, G, A flat, B flat, D, C, D flat, E natural, 1 across. Up to your F, and then 4, 1, 4 in third and a half, 1, 2 in third, 2, 4 in fifth. If you want to, you can play from second and a half. You can go back to half. But all of our shifts so far have gone down the neck, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 2, 2, 4. So I prefer to do the same thing for as many scales as possible. F minor melodic. It's pretty straightforward in terms of we've got an open D and E for the raised 6th and raised 7th. So we're going to play 1, 2, 4. Then 1, 4, 0 in half. 2. Then up to second position. And then the same fingering that we're using 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 1. And then it's pretty hard work to get back, lots of shifts. Half, first, half, first. So that's all of the minor scales done as well. So onto our arpeggios, again staying in the same key centres, E, A, F and G. And the reason I'm doing them that way around is there are quite a lot of similarities between the E and the A scales and arpeggios. So, E major arpeggio. Open E, G sharp, 1 for the E, for the B, so E, G sharp, B. And then I go down to third position, 4 for the E, 2 across for the G sharp, down to fourth position, B to E. There's a few different ways you can do it. You can go down the neck if you want. I like to break it up a bit, so open E, G sharp, B, E, G sharp, B, E. And the arpeggio, the slurring requirements is slurred in thirds, or slurred 3 notes to a bow. So for this, it's just really careful to keep the bow moving slow speed and just trust the weight of the bow to make sure if you're bowing the equivalent to an open E or a top E, you're adjusting accordingly to get like a warm sound across. So that's E major arpeggio. E minor arpeggio, we can use the same positions. We're just going to change our major thirds, the G sharps, to our minor thirds, G naturals. So E in first, G with 2 fingers, 1 across, then up to third E, G 1 across, 4, 4. So that's E major minor arpeggio. For A arpeggio, I decided to do something quite different that I don't think I've ever taught before, but it seems like it might work. So normally you could do the arpeggio 0, 4, 1 in first, 4, 2 in third, 4 in fourth, and then up to the top 8, which will work like this. Perfectly acceptable, quite normal. One of the things that I'm looking at now is using an open A and then starting the fingerings in 4th position on the E string, C sharp with 4 fingers, E 1 across, A 1 across, then going down to 5th and half, 4 fingers for the C sharp, 1 across for the E, then top A, back. It's a bit confusing the way you start. But you've already done that shift from 5th and a half to 7th for the scale, so I'm thinking that you could probably do it again for the arpeggio. The arpeggio, the minor arpeggio, we can use that same fingering if you're into it. Open A, C with 2 fingers, 1 across, up to 5th and a half again, 2 for the C natural, 1 across for the E, and then up to 7th again. So yeah, just practicing those shifts. So that's the A major and minor arpeggio. Again, you can either start it in first, go first, third, fourth, up, or you can start it in fourth and go across. The G arpeggios are slightly more conventional. So G, the only thing is you can start with G in second position with your first finger and start with the first finger and then shift up. That's fine. If you're more comfortable starting in first position, I think I've written it in first position, so 2 for the G. Going down the neck to third position, 4, 1. So for the B to D, then 1 across for the G. Down to fourth position, 4, 4, 1. Then harmonic G. It's quite difficult, yeah, getting that G in tune at the end. And then yeah, to make it minor, just change all the major thirds to minor thirds. So the B is going to become B flat. So G, B flat with 2 fingers, 1 across for your D, 1 across for your G, up to fourth, 2 for the B flat, 1 across for your D, then top G. So that's G minor. And then the last of the arpeggios, we can do F major or minor arpeggio. So F, we can start in half position for 1 finger for the F. And for this, we're going to move to second position. So F, C, A with 4 fingers in second, then 1 across for the C, then 1 across for the F again, then down to third position A, 1 across for the C, and then up to 5th position for the F. Or 1 for the F, 1 across, 4 down for the A, 1 across for the C, and then 4, 2 across for the A, and then 4, 4. Depending on what you fancy. And then for the F minor arpeggio, we can do F, 2 for the A flat, 1 across, F, 2 for the A flat, 1 across, then up to the top F. Or you can do 1, 2, 4, 1 across, 4. Both of those fingerings are totally fine, whichever one you fancy doing. Let's do arpeggios. Okay, racing through. So, chromatic scales. Chromatic scales, the kind of guidelines for playing chromatic scales, or my guidelines for playing chromatic scales in the earlier positions, the earlier scales, is that in general, if we're going up a scale, we tend to go from 1 to 1, half to first position with our fingers, first finger, 1 to 1. So 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 0, 1, 2, 4. And coming back, we go from first to half on a fourth finger, 4, 4, 2, 1, 0, 4, 4, 2, 1, 0. That's kind of basic chromatic scale fingering. The more advanced fingering you get, as you begin to move up the neck, you want to try and finish your chromatic scales 1, 2, 4 in whatever position you are. And that shift will be determined by how you shift on a G string in half position. So you can either shift 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, or 0, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4. On the way down, we want to always try and use the same position. So passing position, if you get that high, 3, 2, 1, fourth, 4, 2, 1, second and half, 4, 2, 1, half, 1, 4, 2, 1. And the shift you do at the top of the scale determines how you get back to those positions. So for grade 6 scales, there's actually just 2 scales that are exactly the same fingering, basically, the E and G, because they're a minor third apart, so you're going to use the same fingering for them. And then F is the one difference. So let's start with E, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, and then onto the G string. From here, you just got to play 1, 2, 4 in half, 1, 2, 4 in second half, 1, 2, 4 in fourth. And then back. Now for all of my scales, I like to slur or emphasize chromatic scales in sets of 3. I think it sits really nicely. But for grade 6, annoyingly, you have to slur them in sets of 4, which I suppose is a useful skill to have because quite often in orchestral pieces you have to play chromatic scales slurred in sets of 4, so it's worth knowing. You just have to think a bit harder about it. So slurring in sets of 4. I think if you play them and emphasize the sets of 4, I'll show that to you next time, then it makes it easier to slur. So G chromatic, we can use exactly the same fingerings, actually. Just add 1, 2, 3 at the top. So start with a G and then just add 1, 2, 3 for the G. So So those chromatic scales are actually quite nice to play. F chromatic is our last scale. And in order to play F chromatic, or chromatic scale starting on F, we want to go a semitone past where the E was, obviously to finish 1, 2, 4 for the F. And in order to do that, at the top of the scale on the G string, so the half position shift, we just shift 0, 1, 1, then play 1, 2, 4 in first, 1, 2, 4 in third, 1, 2, 4 in fifth. And that gets us up to the top of the scale. Now, as you're in fifth position and you want to use positions fourth, second half and half to come back, you just, when you get to the top, shift back a semitone onto fourth. And that's what gets you down to the whole scale. Actually, on the way down to finish. And now all the chromatics. Yeah, chromatic scales are really useful to practice. I use them as a warm-up. You don't always have to play them that fast. Actually, slow chromatic scales. And the one shift that I often have with students to look out for is a shift from half to first position. Often pupils don't go far enough from half to first, so that's a really good one for working that shift out. So there are all the chromatic scales finished. So let's do the thumb position scale. There's one thumb position scale to do, which is D. D major and thumb position. So thumb position is a whole range of techniques. Essentially, there's 3 hand positions you can use in thumb position. Semi-chromatic hand position, so your thumb on a harmonic, and then you've got a tone gap between your thumb and your first finger, and then the next 2 are semitones, so you get, that's one of the hand shapes you can use. It's called a semi-chromatic hand shape or an open hand shape. And that's what we're going to use to start the scale. So D with your thumb, E with first finger, F sharp with 3 fingers, thumb for the G, A, then 3 fingers. Then if you move your thumb to where your third finger is, and move into a chromatic hand shape or a closed hand shape, your second finger plays a C sharp, then your third finger plays your D. Third finger back to thumb, semi-chromatic hand shape. All the time you're doing that, fast bows near the bridge will really help. And it's really important that the weight of the arm is in the fingers, your fingers are rolling down. And you've got open strings, or harmonics, sorry, to help you tune those. So that's the D major in thumb position. Dominant sevenths. So we've got 3 dominant sevenths in the keys of A, B flat and C. So the dominant sevenths start on the 5th note of the key that you're in. Then you play an arpeggio with the added 7th in that key and resolve to your home key. So a dominant 7th in the key of A, B, C sharp, D, E is going to start on an E. I'm going to play an E arpeggio but add the 7th in, which means we need to use slightly different fingering that we would normally do for arpeggio. So open E, in fact this might be the same fingering, open E, G sharp with 4 fingers, 1 across for the B, up to 3rd, 1, 4, D to E, then 2 across for the G sharp, 4, 1, 4, that's in 4th, back to a G sharp. Now, because we're not going all the way back, we can actually stay in 3rd, play our B with 4 fingers in 3rd position, back a semitone 1, 2, G sharp to A. So you get this sound. And for ABRSM exam, they need to be slurred in pairs, which is a lot easier than slurring them in sets of 3. So that's the dominant 7th in the key of A, starting on an E. Dominant 7th in the key of C, C, D, E, F. G is going to start on G. We're going to play a G arpeggio, but add the 7th in. So G with 2 fingers, 1 across for the B, down to 2nd position, 4, 1, 4 across. Then down to 4th position, 4 for the B, 1, 4 across, D to E. And then up to passing position, 1, 3. Back to 2nd position. And then resolve in 1st position, B to C. And then our last dominant 7th in the key of B flat. It's going to start on an F, B flat, C, D, E flat, F. So start with an F in half position, similar to the arpeggio, 1, 4, 1, up to 3rd and a half, 1, 4, 2 across, down to 5th, C, 1, 4, E flat to F. From here in 3rd position, 3rd and a half position, you can stay there. Again, similar things, play the C in 3rd and a half, back a semitone 1, 2, A to B flat. And there are our dominant 7ths. Our diminished 7ths are made up entirely of minor thirds. So to play a diminished 7th, you just play a minor 3rd and stack minor 3rds on top of each other. It gives a really dark sound. There's 2 ways of playing a minor 3rd on the bass easily. You can play your 1st finger, then shift down a semitone and play your 4th finger. The other option is you can play your 4th finger and then 1 finger across is your minor 3rd. So that's one of the ways you can do it. Now the trick is with these is that it sits really nicely for some of the patterns, but eventually you're going to run out of space to keep doing that. So there's a few different ways around it. To start with, we're going to play the diminished seventh starting on E. That's probably the easiest one to do. But we're going to start in second position. So open E, then we're going to play first finger next for our G natural and minor third. From there, we're going to use the standard finger pattern, shifting down and across. Really important not to shift too far for the minor third shifts, and the whole diminished seventh should sound really dark. So that's a diminished seventh starting on E. Diminished seventh starting on F. We can use the fingering I just described. 1, 4, 1, A flat to B. Then keep going. We finish with the D in third position, and then we just need to shift 4 to 4. There are other ways to try and negotiate around it, but I really like doing this pattern. And then just practicing that shift at the top. So that's using half to first, always going up in semitones. So half to first, second, second half, third, and then going up to fifth finally. And then our last diminished seventh we're going to do starts on a G. You're going to start with your first finger and do exactly the same, just everything's upper tone. So second to second and a half, to third and a half, to fourth, and then harmonic G. I think those are slurred in pairs as well. So that's all of the diminished sevenths done. So then lastly we have the scale in broken thirds in G. There are a few different ways you can play it. You can go down the neck if you want to keep that pattern. But essentially you're going to be crossing strings quite a lot, so I thought just easiest to keep things simple, stay in first position. Just play the notes in first position, keeping that bow nice and smooth. Again, increasing the speed of the bow as you go up the scale. So I think that should be all of the grade 6 scales. It suddenly jumps and there are loads of scales for grade 6. Just for practice tips, there are a few things that we can just do as quick guidelines. So the first thing I'd say with practice tips is if you can make the scales interesting in any way, then that's a really good thing. Or creative. If you just play them slowly, they're really good for warm-up and you can fine for intonation. But any things that you can do to make them more creative. So I like to use drones with my scales. So I'll just show you what I'm doing now. So I'm going to go into YouTube. I've got a cello drone on E, and I'm just going to play this cello drone. Going to let that cello drone go out quite loudly. I'm going to play my bottom E. And then you can play just your scales to drones to check your intonation. Listening out for major thirds, fifths. But the other thing you can do then is just mix up what scales you're playing. So major, minor. Again, using the same fingering if you can. Top octave. And just playing along to those drones will really help your intonation, but also you can play creatively with them, as in just making up patterns. Just getting used to that finger pattern as much as possible. The other app I like to use is the Smart Scales app that I've used in all my videos so far. So this is the Smart Scales app. We're going to go into grade 6. I haven't listened to the grade 6 backings yet, so we'll see where they are, but let's pick a scale. Let's stay in my major. Let's do G major because it might be easier. What looks like it's going to be good. Our blues bar, brilliant. So we can follow the rhythm that they give us. Fine for staying in time and having some sort of backing, but it's a bit better if you want to do some sort of, you know, improvising around that. Those kind of things. Just anything you want to do to make the process of practicing scales more interesting, or finding, you know, patterns in your pieces and then using those same bowing patterns over your scales. So yeah, I hope that helped. For some jazz resources, you can go to the Blues and Roots, my band, Blues and Roots Ensemble website, which is bluesandrootsensemble.com. Or the Instagram page for the band, which we're putting up some jazz videos and jazz exercises, and a few double bass solos as well, is at Blues Roots Band, and Roots is spelled O-R-R-T-S. Do hit subscribe if you're interested in all things kind of double bass and jazz, yeah, see you at the next one.